The cooling unit made a strange noise before it died completely. Daewon stopped working and looked up from the panel he was fixing. Steam hissed from a broken pipe near the ceiling. Water dripped everywhere in the hallway. This was the diplomatic wing of Nexus 7 Station, where important aliens had their offices. Breaking things here usually meant trouble for maintenance workers like him. He grabbed his tools and moved quickly to shut off the water. The station had been his home for 3 years now. He knew every pipe and wire in this place. Working among aliens was strange at first, but he got used to it. They had their ways and humans had theirs. Most of the time, everyone stayed polite and professional. The hallway was empty except for one figure standing near a door. Daewon noticed her because she looked uncomfortable. Her scales were shimmering in an odd way, and water droplets covered her entire body. She was Thoraxi, one of the reptilian species that needed special temperature control to stay healthy. Without her cooling suit working properly, the station's humidity was making her miserable. Daewon had seen Thoraxi before. They were always serious, always following their rules. This one was clearly important based on her clothing. She stood perfectly still, but her breathing seemed wrong. Her secondary eyelids kept blinking, which even Daewon knew meant something was very wrong. He finished shutting off the water and walked over to her. "Your cooling unit is broken," he said, stating the obvious. "It will take me maybe 20 minutes to fix, but the humidity problem will last a few hours." The alien woman looked at him with those strange double-lidded eyes. She said nothing for a moment. Then she spoke in perfect human language. "I have contacted my people. They will send appropriate assistance. I must wait here," Daewon frowned. "That could take hours. The Thoraxi embassy is 3 sectors away. Protocol requires I wait for official assistance from my own people," she replied. Her voice was stiff, formal, but he could hear something else underneath. Discomfort, maybe even pain. Water was still dripping from her scales. Her fancy diplomatic robes were soaked through. She looked miserable, but she stood there like a statue, following her rules even though it was clearly making her suffer. Daewon made a decision. He opened his maintenance kit and pulled out a clean towel. He always carried extras because station work was messy. Without thinking too much about it, he held it out to her. "Here, you look like you need this." The alien woman stared at the towel. She did not move. She did not speak. She just stared like he had offered her something impossible. Her secondary eyelid started blinking rapidly. "It's just a towel," Daewon said, confused by her reaction. "To dry off. So you're not so uncomfortable while you wait." Other aliens were walking past in the hallway now. A few of them stopped and stared. One of the insectoid Vren actually froze mid-step, its compound eyes fixed on the scene, a Solmari energy being flickered with unusual intensity. Everyone was watching. The Thoraxi woman slowly reached out and took the towel. Her clawed hands held it carefully like it was made of glass. She looked at it, then at Daewon, then back at the towel. "You would give this to me?" she asked. Her voice sounded strange. "Freely?" "Yeah, of course," Daewon said. He was getting more confused by the second. "You need it. I have extras." "Not a big deal." She did not use the towel right away. She kept staring at it. Then very slowly she began drying her scales. The movement looked almost ceremonial, like she was performing some kind of ritual. She was so careful with it, so deliberate. "I am Valira," she said quietly. "I am 3rd Diplomatic Consul of the Thoraxi Confederacy." "Daewon Kim," he replied. "Maintenance Engineer. Level 2. He was not sure why they were introducing themselves over a towel, but it seemed important to her. Valira finished drying herself. She held the towel in both hands, looking at it like it was precious. "In 10,000 years of Thoraxi civilization," she said slowly, "I have never experienced anything like this." "Like what? Someone giving you a towel?" "Yes." She looked directly at him. "Among my people, such an action would imply weakness on my part. It would suggest I cannot care for myself. It would create a social debt that must be carefully negotiated and repaid according to protocol. It would disrupt established hierarchies and require formal mediation." Daewon blinked. "It's really just a towel." "No," Valira said. "It is not." More aliens had stopped to watch now. A small crowd was forming. Daewon felt uncomfortable with all the attention. He was just a maintenance guy. He fixed things. He helped people when they needed help. That was normal, right? "Do all humans do this?" Valira asked. "Offer assistance without being asked? Without calculating the social cost?" Without establishing terms of repayment? I mean, yeah, most of us. If someone needs help and we can help, we just do it. It's called being decent. Valira's secondary eyelids closed completely for a moment. When they opened, she looked at him with an expression he could not read. Being decent, she repeated. We have no word for this concept in my language. Not as you use it. A Krell warrior pushed through the crowd. The big alien looked at the scene and made a snorting sound. The human establishes dominance through forced generosity. Classic power move. No, Day-One said, feeling frustrated. I'm not trying to dominate anyone. She was wet and uncomfortable. I had a towel. That's it. That's the whole thing. The Krell looked confused. So did most of the other aliens. Only a few humans in the crowd were nodding like this made perfect sense. Valira carefully folded the towel. May I keep this? I will return it cleaned, of course. And we must negotiate appropriate compensation. You can just have it, Day-One said. I've got like 6 more, and you don't owe me anything. Valira made a sound he had never heard a Thraxi make before. It might have been a gasp. I do not understand your species, she said. But I wish to learn. Would you be willing to speak with me again? Day-One shrugged. Sure, I'm usually in this sector every day. Maintenance never ends. He went back to fixing the cooling unit, leaving Valira standing there holding the towel like it was treasure. The crowd slowly dispersed, but Day-One could hear them talking. Word was spreading fast about what had happened. He did not think much of it at the time. It was just a towel. Just a simple act of helping someone who needed help. He had no idea that this moment would change everything. He had no idea that one small gesture of basic human kindness was about to shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Hyun-Soo was laughing so hard she almost fell off her chair. Day-One's roommate had that kind of laugh that made other people laugh too. Right now it was just making him feel embarrassed. You did what? She asked, wiping tears from her eyes. You gave a towel to a Thraxi diplomat and caused a diplomatic incident? It wasn't an incident, Day-One protested. I just helped someone who was uncomfortable. Dude, you just revolutionized galactic diplomacy with a towel. They were in their small, shared apartment on the station. Hyun-Soo worked in the agriculture sector, growing food for the human residents. She understood alien cultures better than Day-One did. She actually studied that stuff in her free time. She wants to meet with me again, Day-One said. Valira, the Thraxi diplomat. She messaged me 3 times today asking questions about human behavior. Hyun-Soo stopped laughing. Wait, seriously? What kind of questions? Weird ones. Like, do humans always carry extra supplies to give away? Do we have protocols for spontaneous assistance? Is there a social formula for determining who deserves help? That kind of stuff. What did you tell her? The truth. That we just help people when they need help. No formula. No protocol. We just do it. Hyun-Soo leaned back thinking. You know what's crazy? That is weird to most aliens. We grew up thinking it's normal to hold doors open for strangers, to help someone carry heavy bags, to offer directions when someone looks lost. But most alien species don't do that. They have systems and rules for everything, but why? Day-One asked. Doesn't everyone just want to help each other? No, actually. Most species evolved past that. They say humans are still primitive because we waste resources on strangers. We help people even when there's no benefit to us. They think that's inefficient, the door chimed. Day-One opened it to find Valira standing there. She was wearing a fresh diplomatic uniform and her cooling suit was working properly now. She was also carrying the towel he had given her cleaned and neatly folded. I hope I am not intruding, Valira said formally. I wish to return your property and to ask more questions if you are willing. Come in, Day-One said, stepping aside. Hyun-Soo quickly straightened up the apartment, kicking some dirty clothes under a chair. Valira entered carefully, looking around at the human living space. Her eyes lingered on small details. Photos on the wall showing Day-One's family back on Earth. A coffee maker on the counter. Books scattered on a table. Normal human things, please keep the towel, Day-One said. I meant it as a gift. A gift, Valira repeated. Given without expectation of return or compensation. Right. Valira sat down carefully on a chair. She placed the towel on the table between them like it was important. I have spent the last day and night researching human culture. I have read your history, your literature, your psychological studies. I have found something that troubles me deeply. What's that? Hyun-Soo asked, leaning forward with interest. Humans have entire philosophical systems built around helping strangers. You have words like empathy, compassion, altruism, charity, kindness. You tell stories about good people who help others with no reward. You teach your children that helping strangers is virtuous. You have built this into your entire civilization. Yeah, Day One said. So this is almost unique in the galaxy, Valira said quietly. The Thoraxi eliminated these inefficient behaviors 8,000 years ago. We optimized our society for maximum efficiency. The Vren Collective shares resources perfectly within their hive mind, but never wastes anything on outsiders. The Krell only respect strength and see helping others as weakness. Even the Solmari, who have transcended physical form, do not understand doing things simply for the comfort of others. But that sounds so cold, Yunsu said. It is logical, Valira replied, or so we have always believed. Every resource spent on a stranger is a resource not spent on advancing our own people. Every moment helping an outsider is a moment not spent improving ourselves. This is the foundation of galactic civilization. That sounds lonely, Day One said. Valira was quiet for a long moment. Her secondary eyelids blinked slowly. Yes, she finally said. I have never had that thought before. But you are correct. It is lonely. She picked up the towel again. When you gave me this, I felt something I have not felt since I was very young. Before the efficiency training, before the optimization protocols, I felt cared for, not because of my rank, not because of what I could offer in return, but simply because I was uncomfortable and you had the means to help. That's how it should be, Hyunsu said softly. But it is not how the galaxy works, Valira said. And now I must understand why. I have submitted a formal research proposal to the Interstellar Council. I wish to study human spontaneous altruism and its applications in galactic society. I need your permission to include you in this study. Daewon looked uncomfortable. I don't want to be famous or anything. I just fix things and help people. I know. That is precisely why you are the perfect subject. You do not perform kindness for recognition. You simply do it because it is, as you say, decent. Valira pulled out a datapad and showed them official documents. The Council has approved preliminary funding. I will be working with researchers from multiple species. We will observe human behavior in various situations. We will document how humans interact with strangers. We will try to understand this thing you call kindness. Will it help? Daewon asked. Will it make things better? I do not know, Valira admitted. But I must try. Because yesterday, a stranger offered me a towel when I was suffering, expecting nothing in return. And that simple act has made me question everything I thought I knew about civilization. She stood up, preparing to leave. At the door, she turned back. In my language, we have a saying. Translated, it means, efficiency is the highest virtue. But today I learned that humans have a different saying. Will you tell me one? Daewon thought for a moment. Then he smiled. Be kind. For everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. Valira's secondary eyelids closed again, that gesture of deep emotion. Beautiful, she whispered. And so very, very human. After she left, Hyunsu looked at her roommate with new respect. You know what you did, right? You made an alien diplomat question her entire civilization's philosophy. I just gave her a towel. Exactly. And that's the most revolutionary thing anyone has done in this galaxy for 1,000 years. The observation deck was crowded with researchers. Daewon stood awkwardly to one side while aliens of different species set up monitoring equipment. He still was not sure how he had agreed to this. Valira had been very persuasive. Subject is in position, announced Dr. Kix, a Vren researcher who spoke in the clicking, buzzing language of his hive species. A translator device made his words understandable. Beginning test scenario Alpha 1. Do I need to do anything special? Daewon asked. No, Valira said. She was holding a data pad, recording everything. Simply behave naturally. Go about your normal work routine. We will create situations and observe your responses. This feels weird, I understand, but it is necessary. An alarm sounded somewhere down the corridor. Daewon's communicator buzzed with a maintenance alert. According to the readout, there was a minor coolant leak in Sector 7. He grabbed his tools and headed that way, followed at a distance by the research team. When he arrived at Sector 7, he found a Solmari energy being hovering near a leaking pipe. The Solmari was flickering in a pattern that indicated confusion. Next to the pipe was a stack of shipping containers that had clearly been knocked over, creating a mess. Day-Wan assessed the situation quickly. The leak was minor and easy to fix, but someone would need to move those containers first, and the Solmari could not touch physical objects easily. "Hang on," Day-Wan said to the Solmari. "Let me clear this space first." He began moving the containers, which were heavy but manageable. It took several minutes. Once the area was clear, he fixed the leak in about 30 seconds. Then he restacked the containers properly so they would not fall again. "There you go," he said to the Solmari. "All fixed. Be careful around those containers. They're not stacked according to safety regulations." The Solmari flickered in acknowledgement and floated away. Day-Wan cleaned up his tools and moved on to the next task. Behind him, the research team was having an intense discussion. "Fascinating," Dr. Kix buzzed. "Subject moved 47 containers totaling approximately 300 kilograms. Time invested 4 minutes 17 seconds. Benefit to subject 0. Subject did not request compensation, acknowledgement, or assistance. Subject simply performed labor to help another being. The Solmari was not in danger," noted Talren, the Solmari observer. "The leak would have been fixed by station maintenance eventually. The containers were not subject's responsibility. Yet subject invested significant energy helping anyway." Valira made notes on her datapad. "This is consistent with human behavior patterns. They identify problems and solve them, even when not their direct responsibility." "Inefficient," stated a Krell warrior named Gorth, who was part of the observation team. "Wasted energy on tasks that benefit others with no gain. Yet the problem is solved," Valira pointed out. "The Solmari can now use that corridor safely. The leak is fixed. The containers are properly stored. One human's 4 minutes of labor prevented potential future problems. Any properly organized society would have assigned these tasks to appropriate personnel through proper channels." Dr. Kix insisted. "But that would take longer," Valira said. "And during that time, the problem would persist. The human way is faster." They followed Day-Wan to his next alert. This time it was not a maintenance issue. A young Vren drone was standing in the middle of a corridor intersection, clearly lost. Its antennae were twitching in distress patterns. Day-Wan stopped. "Hey, are you okay? You look lost." The drone clicked nervously. Its translator struggled with the concepts. "Cannot find connection to collective. First time away from Hive. Supposed to meet Elder at Diplomatic Suite 4. "Oh, that's 3 levels up," Day-Wan said. He checked his schedule. He had another repair call waiting, but it was not urgent. "Come on, I'll show you the way. These corridors are confusing at first." He led the young Vren to the correct elevator, then to the right floor, then to the exact suite it needed. The whole detour took 15 minutes. The drone's antennae stopped twitching and made a grateful clicking sound before scurrying inside. Day-Wan went back to his work. The research team was silent. Finally, Dr. Kix spoke. Subject delayed his assigned task by 15 minutes to help a being from a different species find its destination. No emergency existed. Subject could have simply given directions. Instead, Subject personally escorted the lost individual to ensure its success. "The drone was distressed," Talren observed. Subject responded to emotional state, not logical necessity. "Correct," Valira said. "Humans are highly sensitive to distress in others. They feel compelled to help, even at cost to themselves." "This cannot be consistent across all humans," Gorth argued. "This subject may be unusual." "Let us continue observations," Valira suggested. Over the next several days, the research team followed not just Day-Wan, but other humans on the station. They documented hundreds of small interactions. Humans holding doors open for aliens carrying packages. Humans offering directions without being asked. Humans sharing food in the cafeteria. Humans helping aliens understand human technology. Humans picking up dropped items and returning them to strangers. Every interaction was the same pattern. Identify need. Help without being asked. Expect nothing in return. Move on. The research team compiled their data. The results were undeniable. This was not just Day-Wan. This was all humans. This was human culture. "We must present preliminary findings to the council," Dr. Kix announced. "This is significant." They prepared a formal presentation. Valira was chosen to deliver it because she understood humans best now. She had spent the most time with them. She had experienced their kindness firsthand. The presentation hall was full of representatives from dozens of species. Valira stood at the podium. nervous despite her diplomatic training. She displayed charts and data and video evidence of human behavior. Humans operate on a fundamentally different social model than any other known species, she explained. They have evolved cooperation and altruism to an extreme degree. They help strangers instinctively. They feel emotional distress when witnessing others in need. They invest resources in others with no expectation of return. This is weakness, declared Counselor Vrex, a high-ranking Krell. Any species that gives away its resources will be exploited and destroyed. Yet humans thrive, Valera countered. Their ships are always willing to assist others, and thus others assist them in return. Not through contracts, but through reciprocal goodwill. They have built a network of informal alliances across the galaxy simply by being helpful. Impossible, Dr. Kix buzzed. Cooperation requires formal structure, not for humans. They call it paying it forward. They help someone today and trust that when they need help, someone will help them. It works. The presentation caused heated debate. Some species were fascinated. Others were skeptical. A few were openly hostile to the idea, but word was spreading beyond the council. News about the research was reaching ordinary aliens throughout the station. And something unexpected was happening. Aliens were starting to experiment with human-style kindness. A Vren held a door open for a Krell. A Solmari helped a lost tourist find their destination. Small acts, awkward and uncertain, but genuine attempts to behave like humans did. Daewon noticed the changes but did not understand why they were happening. He just kept doing his job, fixing things, helping people, being decent. He had no idea that his simple way of living was starting a revolution. Ambassador Jae-Hwan Choi was not happy. The senior human diplomat on Nexus 7 station sat across from Daewon with an expression somewhere between exasperation and amusement. "Do you understand what you have done?" Jae-Hwan asked. "I gave someone a towel," Daewon said for what felt like the 1,000th time. "You triggered a galactic philosophical crisis. I have 17 different species requesting formal meetings about human spontaneous assistance behaviors. The Thraxi Council has demanded we share our cultural training protocols. 3 different universities want to establish human studies programs, and somehow you are at the center of all of this." "I really did not mean to cause problems," Jae-Hwan sighed. "You did not cause problems. You just showed aliens something they had forgotten was possible. Now everyone wants to understand it." Valera entered the office carrying a massive stack of data pads. She looked exhausted but excited. "The research findings are being published today across the Interstellar Academic Network. The response has been overwhelming." She set down the data pads and pulled up a display. "We have documented 372 instances of human spontaneous altruism over the past month. Every single time humans helped others without being asked, without negotiating terms, without expecting anything in return. That is just how we are," Daewon said. "I know, and that is what makes it so remarkable." Valera changed the display to show comparative data. "Among the Thraxi, we recorded only 6 instances of unsolicited assistance in the same time period. Among the Vren, 0. Among the Krell, there was actually negative assistance. They took resources from weaker individuals. That is disturbing," Jae-Hwan said. "That is normal for the galaxy," Valera replied. "Humans are the exception. And now other species are asking why they evolved away from this behavior and whether they should try to reclaim it." "Can they?" Daewon asked. "Can you just decide to be kinder?" "I do not know, but I'm trying to find out." Valera had been working day and night on the research. It was clear to Daewon that this had become personal for her. She was not just studying humans anymore. She was questioning everything about her own culture. "The Council wants to propose something called the Kindness Initiative," Valera continued. "It would be a formal program to study and implement human-style cooperation protocols across multiple species." "That sounds like you're turning kindness into a formula," Hyunsu said. She had come to the meeting because she was Daewon's moral support. "That seems wrong." "It is the only way my people can understand it," Valera admitted. "We need structure and protocols. We cannot simply be spontaneously kind the way humans are. We must learn it systematically." "At least you are trying," Jae-Hwan said. "That is more than most species." The meeting was interrupted by an emergency broadcast. All screens on the station suddenly showed the same alert. There was a crisis on the mining colony Talos 4. Equipment failures had cut off communication and supplies. Hundreds of colonists from multiple species were stranded without food, water, or medical supplies. The broadcast showed government officials from various species discussing the situation. The conversation was cold and calculated. How many of their citizens were on the colony? What was the cost of rescue versus the value of those citizens? What were the legal obligations? What were the political implications? Daewon felt sick listening to them talk about people like they were cargo to be assessed for value. "This is wrong," he said. "People are dying and they are doing math?" "This is how the galaxy works," Valira said quietly. "Every rescue operation requires cost-benefit analysis. Resources are limited. Priorities must be established. But they are people. To most species, some people are worth more than others based on their social value. Humans are unusual in believing all lives have equal worth." Jae-hwan was already on his communicator, calling other human ships and stations. "We need to coordinate a rescue," he said firmly. "Get me every human captain in range of Talos 4. Within minutes, the response came back. Every human ship that could reach the colony changed course immediately. No authorization requested. No calculation made. People needed help, so humans went to help them. Captain Bo-Ra Han, commander of the human transport ship Steady Hand, appeared on the screen. "We are 3 days from Talos 4, she reported. "We have medical supplies and extra rations. We can take maybe 60 passengers if we clear the cargo holds." "Do it," Jae-hwan ordered. More human ships reported in. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, even a few private yachts. None of them were military ships. They were just ordinary people doing ordinary jobs. But they all turned toward Talos 4 without hesitation. "This is what I mean," Valira said, watching the human response. "You do not even question it. Someone needs help, so you go help them. The cost does not matter. The benefit to you does not matter. You just go." "Of course we go," Daewon said. "What else would we do?" "Calculate whether it is worth the resources," Valira said. "Debate legal obligations. Wait for official authorization. That is what my people are doing right now. That is what most of the galaxy is doing." She looked down at her datapad. Her hands were shaking slightly. "But I do not want to be that person anymore. I do not want to be the one who does math while people die." "What are you saying?" Jae-hwan asked carefully. "I am saying I want to join the rescue mission. I have diplomatic authority to requisition a Thraxi vessel. I can get there faster than most human ships because our engines are more advanced. I can help." "Your government will not approve," Jae-hwan warned. "I know. I am going to do it anyway." This was huge. Thraxi never acted without authorization. Their entire culture was built on following protocols and chains of command. What Valira was proposing was essentially rebellion. "You could lose everything," Daewon said. "Your position, your career, everything you have worked for." "I know," Valira said. "But I have learned something from humans. There are things more important than career and protocol. Those people on Talos 4 matter more than my rank. I understand that now." She stood up straight, her decision made. "I am requisitioning the diplomatic courier ship Evening Grace. I will depart within the hour. Anyone who wishes to join me is welcome." Daewon did not even think about it. "I am going. I'm a maintenance engineer. I can help repair their broken equipment." "I am going too," Yunsu declared. "They will need food help if their supplies are gone." Other humans on the station volunteered immediately. Within 30 minutes, Valira had a full crew of human volunteers. They loaded the Evening Grace with every supply they could spare. Medical equipment, food, water, tools, everything that might help. As they prepared to launch, Valira received a message from the Thraxi Council. It was a direct order to stand down and return to her post. She deleted the message without responding. "No going back now," she said quietly. "No going back," Daewon agreed. The Evening Grace launched toward Talos 4, followed by a growing fleet of human ships. Word of the rescue mission was spreading fast, and something remarkable was happening. Other aliens were joining. A Vren collective donated extra emergency drones. A Solmari ship offered to provide emergency power. Even a few young Krell warriors volunteered to help with heavy lifting. The galaxy was watching. The question was simple. Could humans change a society built on calculation and self-interest into one that actually cared about saving everyone? Daewon looked out at the stars rushing past. He thought about all those people on Talos 4 waiting for help. He hoped they would be fast enough. He hoped that kindness would be enough. The mining colony on Talos 4 was in worse shape than anyone expected. As the evening grace approached, the damage became clear. Multiple buildings had collapsed. The main power generator was dead. Communication arrays were destroyed. And the colonists were running out of breathable air. "Life signs are weakening," reported the ship's scanner operator, a young human woman named Jiwoo. "We have maybe 12 hours before casualties start mounting." Valera worked the controls with practiced precision, bringing the diplomatic courier into a hard landing near the colony's central hub. The evening grace was not built for rough terrain, but she made it work. Behind them, other rescue ships were arriving. Human vessels first, followed by the surprising addition of alien volunteers. Day one was out the airlock before the engines fully powered down. He carried his toolkit and a portable generator. The scene was chaos. Colonists from a dozen different species huddled in whatever shelters still had power. The air smelled of smoke and fear. A Vren elder scuttled toward him, antennae waving frantically. "You came. They said no one would come. Cost too high. Not worth saving. We are here now," Day One said simply. "Show me your power systems. We need to get life support running." The Vren led him through damaged corridors to the main generator room. The equipment was a disaster. Multiple systems had failed in cascade. It would take days to repair properly. "They did not have days. I cannot fix this," Day One admitted. "But I can bypass it. Give me 2 hours and I can get emergency power to the life support sections." 2 hours, yes. We can survive 2 hours. Day One got to work. Other humans spread out across the colony, each focusing on the most critical problems. Hyunsu organized food distribution from the rescue ships. Jiwoo set up emergency medical stations. Captain Bora coordinated the overall effort with calm efficiency. The alien volunteers were learning fast. The Vren drones worked perfectly with human engineers once they understood the goal was saving lives, not following optimal procedure. The Solmari provided emergency power where the generators could not reach. Even the Krell warriors helped, using their immense strength to clear debris and rescue trapped colonists. Valera moved through it all, translating between species, coordinating resources, making impossible decisions look easy. She had transformed from a rigid diplomat into an emergency response leader. Day One barely recognized her. "North section is clear," she reported over the communication channel. 18 colonists evacuated. "Moving to East section." "East section has structural damage," Day One called back. "It is not safe. 12 colonists still trapped there." "We do not leave people behind," that was a human phrase. Valera had adopted it completely. An hour into the rescue, complications emerged. One of the alien governments started demanding their citizens be evacuated first. They claimed priority based on diplomatic treaties and economic value. Captain Bora's response was blunt. "No, we save the most critical cases first. Species does not matter. Rank does not matter. We save who needs saving." "You have no authority to make that determination," the alien official argued over the communication channel. "I have the ships and the people willing to work," Bora replied. "That gives me all the authority I need. Now either help or get out of the way." The official sputtered but could not argue with results. Humans were saving lives. Everyone else was still debating procedure. Day One finished the emergency power bypass. Life support hummed back to life throughout the habitable sections. Colonists cheered. Some were crying. A young Krell child hugged his leg, and Day One almost fell over in surprise. Krell did not hug. But fear and relief made people do unusual things. "Good work," Valera said, appearing beside him. She looked exhausted but determined. "But we have another problem. The colony's water reclamation system is completely destroyed. We have maybe 3 days of water between all the rescue ships. After that, we have to start making hard choices about who gets supplied." "Or we fix the water system," Day One said. "It is too damaged." "I already checked. Then we build a new one. We have parts on all these ships. We have engineers. We have 3 days. We can do this," Valera stared at him. "That is impossible. A water reclamation system takes weeks to build properly. We do not need properly. We need functional. There is a difference." Over the next 2 days, the rescue mission transformed into something bigger. Humans and aliens worked side by side, building a makeshift water system from salvaged parts. They violated every construction regulation. They ignored proper procedure. They just made it work. The Vren Collective was fascinated by this approach. They were used to perfect planning and optimal execution. This was chaos and improvisation, and somehow it worked better. Humans do not seek perfect solutions, Dr. Kix observed, recording everything for his research. They seek adequate solutions implemented quickly. Speed and pragmatism over perfection. It is maddening, Valira admitted, but also brilliant. On the third day, the improvised water system came online. It was ugly. It was inefficient. But it produced clean water. The colony would survive. Ships began evacuating the wounded and the vulnerable. The colonists who stayed behind now had working life support, power, water, and hope. Proper repair ships were finally en route, but they would not be needed for immediate survival anymore. As the evening grace prepared to depart, something unexpected happened. The Vren elder who had first greeted Day One approached with the entire collective's younger drones. "You saved us," the elder said, "not because you had to. Not because of treaties or payment. You saved us because we needed saving. This is not normal in the galaxy. This is human. It should be normal," Day One said. "Everyone should help everyone. Perhaps. But until now, only humans truly did this. You have shown us another way." The elder pressed something into Day One's hand. It was a small crystal, the kind Vren used to store important memories. "Our collective will remember. We will tell others. What humans did here matters." Similar scenes played out across the colony. Rescued aliens thanking their rescuers. Aliens who had never thought about helping strangers now understanding why it mattered. Seeds of change being planted. On the flight back to Nexus 7, Valira sat next to Day One in the ship's common area. She looked different somehow. Lighter, maybe. Like she had put down something heavy. "I received official notice from my government," she said quietly. "I am removed from my diplomatic position. My actions violated protocol. I am ordered to return home for disciplinary measures." "I am sorry," Day One said. "This is my fault. If I had not given you that towel—" "No." Valira shook her head firmly. "If you had not given me that towel, I would still be following empty protocols. I would have stood by and watched while people died because saving them was not cost-effective. You showed me there is a better way to live." She looked out at the stars. "I do not regret my choices. For the first time in my life, I acted based on what I felt was right rather than what I was told was efficient. That is worth any punishment. What will you do?" "I do not know, but I learned something from humans. When one door closes, you find another one. You do not give up just because the path is difficult. You keep helping people because it is the right thing to do." She smiled at him. It was the first time he had seen a Thraxi really smile. "Thank you, Day One. Thank you for being kind to a stranger with a broken cooling suit. You changed my life. Maybe you changed the galaxy. I just gave you a towel." "Yes, and that made all the difference." News of the Talos 4 rescue spread across the galaxy faster than any official report. Personal messages from saved colonists reached their home worlds. Video footage of humans and aliens working together went viral on interstellar networks. The story was everywhere. A ragtag fleet led by humans had accomplished what government said was impossible. The political fallout was immediate and complicated. Some governments praised the rescue. Others were furious that unauthorized civilians had taken action. A few tried to claim credit for the success despite doing nothing to help. And everywhere, ordinary beings were asking the same question. Why did it take humans to show us that lives matter more than calculations? Day One returned to his normal work on Nexus 7, trying to avoid the attention. It did not work. Aliens stopped him constantly to thank him or ask questions or simply stare at the human who had sparked a revolution with a towel. Valira was facing her own consequences. The Thraxi government had ordered her back to their homeworld for disciplinary hearings. She would likely lose her diplomatic credentials permanently. Some were calling for harsher punishment. But something unexpected was happening among the Thraxi people. Young Thraxi who heard about Valira's actions were asking questions. Why should efficiency matter more than lives? Why did they eliminate compassion from their culture? Was advancement worth losing their ability to care? The debate spread to other species. The Vren collective experienced its first internal disagreement in 3 centuries. Some drones argued they should reconsider their perfect resource sharing that excluded outsiders. The Solmari, who had transcended physical needs, began discussing whether they had lost something important when they left behind physical empathy. Even the Krell warrior culture was affected. Young warriors who had participated in the Talos 4 rescue reported feeling something new. Pride in helping rather than dominating. Their elders dismissed it as weakness, but the seed was planted. Ambassador Jae-hwan called Daewon to his office. The Interstellar Council has called an emergency session. They want to address what they are calling the human question. That sounds ominous. It is actually an opportunity. They want to understand how human culture developed this way, and whether other species can or should adopt similar values. Can they just decide to be kind? That is what they want to find out. And they want humans to teach them. The emergency session was held in the Grand Chamber, a massive space station designed for galactic governance. Daewon never imagined he would see it. But here he was sitting in the gallery, while representatives from hundreds of species debated humanity's role in the galaxy. Councillor Vrex of the Krell took the floor first. Daewon tensed, expecting hostility. Vrex had opposed the research on human kindness from the beginning, but Vrex's words surprised everyone. "I was wrong," the Krell warrior said bluntly. "I believed human compassion was weakness. I believed helping others without strategic benefit was foolish. The Talos 4 rescue proved me wrong." He displayed statistics. Human-led missions have 43% higher success rates than purely logical approaches. Human mediation resolves disputes faster and with greater satisfaction for all parties. Human presence in mixed crews correlates with better morale and cooperation. Humans are not weak. They are evolutionarily advanced in ways we failed to recognize. They have mastered cooperation and empathy while maintaining intelligence and capability. That is not primitive. That is sophisticated. The chamber erupted in discussion. Vrex, the biggest skeptic, had become an advocate. Dr. Kix presented the scientific findings next. The research is conclusive. Humans retain emotional and social capabilities that most species optimized away during their development. They feel others' pain as their own. They derive genuine satisfaction from helping. Their brains are wired for cooperation in ways ours are not. But, Dr. Kix continued, the research also shows something encouraging. These capabilities are not completely lost in other species. They are dormant. The Vren who worked at Talos 4 reported experiencing satisfaction from helping outsiders. Young Thraxi exposed to human culture show increased empathy responses. The capacity for kindness exists in all of us. Humans simply never suppressed it. Valera was called to testify. She stood before the council in her formal diplomatic robes, but she had changed. She carried herself with new confidence. "I violated protocol," she stated clearly. "I acted without authorization. I prioritized lives over regulations. I would do it again." The human who gave me a towel taught me something my entire education never mentioned, that caring about strangers is not weakness. It is strength. That building relationships through genuine kindness is more valuable than any contract. That some things matter more than efficiency. She looked directly at the Thraxi representatives. Our people eliminated compassion because we thought it was inefficient. We were wrong. The cost of that efficiency was our souls. I have seen what we lost. I want it back. The session lasted for hours. Species after species spoke. Some defended traditional approaches. Others called for change. But the momentum was clearly shifting toward something new. Finally, a proposal was made. The kindness protocols. Not a rigid system, but a framework for species to relearn compassion and cooperation. It would include cultural exchange programs, mixed species cooperation projects, and formal education about empathy and altruism. The vote was close, but it passed. "This is a beginning," Jae-hwan told Daewon afterward. "The galaxy is going to change because of you. I just wanted to help someone who needed help. I know. That is exactly why it matters." Back on Nexus 7, Daewon tried to return to normal life. But normal was different now. Aliens greeted him warmly instead of with polite distance. People asked for his help with personal problems, not just mechanical ones. The station felt friendlier, warmer. One day he encountered a young Krell in the corridor who had dropped a container of food supplies. Items were rolling everywhere. The Krell looked embarrassed and frustrated. Without thinking, Daewon stopped and helped pick everything up. The Krell stared at him in surprise, then said in careful human language, "Thank you, friend." It was a small moment, but it was also everything. That night, Valera contacted him. She was still on her homeworld, but she had news. The disciplinary hearing ended today. I was expecting punishment. Instead, they offered me a new position. What position? Ambassador of Cultural Exchange. I would work with humans and other species to implement the kindness protocols. They want me to teach Thoraxi how to be more like humans. Day One laughed. That is amazing. Are you going to accept? Yes, but I have one condition. I want you to work with me, not as a researcher or subject. As a partner, you understand human kindness better than any diplomat ever could, because you live it every day. I am just a maintenance engineer. You are the maintenance engineer who revolutionized galactic civilization with a towel. I think you can handle a promotion. Day One thought about it. He liked his simple life. He liked fixing things and helping people without complicated politics. But he also saw the opportunity. If he could help spread kindness across the galaxy, was that not worth it? Can I still fix things? He asked. Of course. I think fixing things is what you do best. You fix machines. You fix problems. And now maybe you can help fix the galaxy. He smiled. Okay, I am in. Good, because humans taught me something important. When someone needs help, you say yes. No calculations. No hesitation. Just yes. 6 months after the Talos 4 rescue, the galaxy looked different. Small changes were happening everywhere. A Vren collective set up the first ever stranger assistance program on their homeworld. Solmari began teaching empathy meditation to other species. Even a few Krell warrior clans adopted something they called strength through service. The changes were awkward at first. Species that had spent millennia following rigid protocols did not become spontaneously kind overnight. But they were trying, and that mattered. Day One and Valera traveled together now, visiting stations and colonies and homeworlds. They taught workshops on cooperation and compassion. They mediated disputes using human principles of fairness and empathy. They showed beings across the galaxy that there was another way to live. It was strange work for a maintenance engineer, but Day One realized he was still fixing things, just bigger things now. On a station near Thoraxi space, they conducted their latest workshop. 50 young Thoraxi had volunteered to learn human-style cooperation. They were nervous and uncertain, but willing. Today we practice spontaneous assistance, Valera explained. You will walk through the station. When you see someone who needs help, you will offer it. No protocol. No calculation. Just help. The young Thoraxi looked terrified. What if we do it wrong? One asked. There is no wrong way to be kind, Day One said. You just try. Sometimes you will be awkward. Sometimes people will be confused. That is okay. What matters is that you try. They sent the Thoraxi out in pairs. Day One and Valera watched from a distance as the young aliens practiced their new skills. One pair saw an elderly alien struggling with packages. They froze, clearly unsure. Then one of them stepped forward and offered to carry something. The elderly alien looked surprised, then grateful. The young Thoraxi's scales flushed with pleasure. Another pair encountered a lost child. Instead of directing the child to proper authorities, they personally escorted her to her parents. The reunion was emotional. The Thoraxi pair looked shocked by their own feelings. They are learning, Valera said softly. My people are learning to care again. How does it feel? Day One asked. Seeing your species change? Terrifying, wonderful, right? She smiled. Human words for human concepts. But I understand them now. I feel them. A message came through on Day One's communicator. It was from Captain Bora. You need to see this. Turn on Galactic News Network. They found a public display and switched to the news. The report showed a crisis on a remote asteroid mining operation. Standard situation. Equipment failure, supplies low, casualties expected. But the response was anything but standard. Ships were converging from all directions. Human ships, yes. But also Vren vessels, Thoraxi couriers, Solmari energy ships, even a Krell battlecruiser. They were all heading to help. No government orders. No calculated cost-benefit analysis. Just beings helping beings who needed help. The Talos 4 model has spread, the news anchor reported. What started as a human approach to crisis response is becoming standard practice. Spontaneous assistance fleets are forming in multiple sectors. Beings are helping strangers without waiting for authorization. Some are calling it the kindness revolution. Day One watched in amazement. Did we do this? You did this, Valera corrected. You handed a towel to a stranger. And somehow that simple act taught the galaxy how to care again. They continued their work for months. The successes outnumbered the failures. More species adopted compassion protocols. More beings reported feeling satisfaction from helping others. The galaxy was becoming a kinder place. Not everyone approved. Some governments resisted the changes. Some species clung to their old ways. There were setbacks and opposition. Change was never easy or simple. But it was happening. One day they returned to Nexus 7 for a ceremony. The Interstellar Council was dedicating a monument to the Talos 4 rescue and the kindness revolution that followed. The monument was beautiful, a statue showing a human offering something to an alien. The plaque read, "In recognition of the simple truth that caring for strangers is not weakness but the highest form of civilization. Inspired by humanity, embraced by the galaxy." During the ceremony, Counselor Vreck spoke. This monument honors not just the Talos 4 rescue, but a new understanding. For millennia, we believed advancement meant eliminating inefficient emotions. We were wrong. True advancement means using our intelligence to enhance our capacity for compassion, not eliminate it. Humans never forgot this, and in remembering them, we remember ourselves. After the ceremony, Daewon walked through the station. Things had changed so much since that day, he offered Valera a towel. The corridors felt warmer now. Aliens greeted each other. People helped strangers without hesitation. Small acts of kindness happened constantly. He passed a maintenance closet and smiled. He was supposed to be an ambassador now, a teacher, a revolutionary figure, but he had made sure to keep his maintenance credentials active. He still fixed things when he could. It kept him grounded. A young human technician was struggling with a heavy piece of equipment nearby. Daewon stopped to help without thinking. Together, they moved it into place. "Thanks," the technician said. "You are Daewon Kim, right? The guy who started all this kindness stuff?" "I just gave someone a towel." The technician laughed. "Yeah, but what a towel, right? Changed the whole galaxy." After the technician left, Daewon found a quiet corner and sat down. He pulled out the towel he always carried now. Not the original one. Valera had that in a museum on her homeworld, but one just like it. A simple, practical towel. Nothing special. Except it was special. Because it represented something important. The idea that we can help each other. That kindness matters. That caring about strangers makes us better, not weaker. Valera found him there. She sat down beside him, comfortable in the silence. They had become close friends over these months. She understood him in ways most beings never could. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That we still have so much work to do. That some species will never change. That the galaxy is huge and we are just two people." "That is true. But also two people can change everything. You prove that." "We prove that," he corrected. She pulled out her own towel, a gift he had given her to match his. It was a running joke between them now. The revolutionary towel carriers. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Your life was simple before. You fixed things, went home, had peace. Now you are traveling constantly, teaching, dealing with politics." "No," Daewon said honestly. "I miss the simplicity sometimes. But I see what we are building. I see aliens learning to care about each other. I see kindness spreading. That matters more than my comfort." Very human answer. Good. Because I am hoping some of it rubs off on the rest of the galaxy. They sat together, watching beings of different species walk past. Some were helping each other with packages. Others were having friendly conversations across species lines. Small moments of connection and kindness. "We did good work," Valera said. "We did, but the work is not done." "No, it is just beginning." A Krell warrior walked past carrying too many boxes. One started to slip. Without thinking, Daewon jumped up and caught it. The Krell looked surprised, then grateful. "Thank you, friend," the Krell said in careful human language. "No problem," Daewon replied with a smile. The Krell continued on. Valera stood up beside Daewon, watching the warrior walk away. "Did you see that?" she asked. 5 years ago, that Krell would have let the box fall rather than accept help. He would have seen it as weakness. Now he says thank you and calls you friend. "Progress," Daewon said. "Revolution," Valera corrected. Quiet, person by person, moment by moment. But revolution nonetheless. They walked through the station together. Daewon still had his maintenance kit slung over his shoulder. Some things never changed. He would always be the guy who fixed things and helped people. That was who he was. But now that simple identity had sparked something bigger. The galaxy was learning that caring about strangers was not primitive. It was advanced. It was necessary. It was what made civilization worth having. All because one human handed a towel to an alien woman who needed it. In Valera's quarters, the original towel sat in a display case. She had refused to give it to the museum. It was too personal, too important. Sometimes she looked at it and remembered the moment everything changed. A simple piece of cloth, a simple gesture, a simple human being decent to a stranger. That was all it took to remind the galaxy of something it had forgotten. That kindness was not a weakness to overcome, but a strength to embrace. The towel remained there, a quiet reminder that the smallest acts of compassion can change everything. That helping strangers matters. That we are all better when we care about each other. And somewhere on Nexus 7 station, a maintenance engineer carried a towel in his kit, just in case someone needed it. Because that was what humans did, and now slowly but surely it was what the galaxy did too.